What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Captain Trucker here. Welcome back to the channel. Today's episode, I want us to explore why the Filipino culture appears to be more content, at peace, and possibly happier than us Americans and other Westerners. Why is this the case? Is it true? And what do you guys think about this? Are Filipinos more content and happy than us Americans? To explore this, we got to look at a number of different things. We're going to look at history, we're going to look at mental health, and we're going to look at simplicity and materialism and how this is all interconnected, okay? All right, so first of all, we have a lot of resilience in the Filipino community and their culture in general, okay? Resilience and toughness. So where does that come from? And do Americans have those same qualities? Let's look at that. So, first of all, the Philippines survived about 300 years of Spanish colonization, okay? They survived the Americans trying to colonize, or occupying rather, in World War II. They've survived us foreigners coming out here in floods over the recent years. And also in recent years, they're surviving and dealing with what I'm calling neo-social media colonialism. So even though the Philippines is like an independent nation, there's arguments to say that there's a new form of neo-colonialism, which is like new colonialism, in the form of social media, i.e. basically other vloggers such as myself shaping, influencing the perception of the country to other future expats, tourists, and so forth and so on. So right now, there's about 300,000 estimated Americans in the Philippines. Nobody really knows the exact statistics. There's confusion about like Filipino Americans versus expats, tourists, transient travelers,
Daddy,
stuff like that. So
Dad,
it really just depends. Yes, son?
why don't my potted Tupperware?
Oh, you got that. Good job. So yeah, there's been a lot of people like influence in trying to take over the Philippines for a long time. Now, like with neo-social media colonialism, that's a whole other conversation, but like I said, I think there's other vloggers are shaping the future potential influence of these countries and the type of tourists that are going to be coming here and expats. So I think it could be exponential growth. I mean, there could be as many as 1 million Americans here by 2034, but who knows? Who knows? So yeah, I mean, the Philippines have survived that, okay? So like America, in contrast, it's a relatively new nation. It's been like 200 plus years. We haven't had, countries trying to colonize us, if you will, taking over, taking all of our stuff, trying to shape the influence of it. I mean, a little bit, right? Like we have immigration issues, and that's a big social topic right now in the American elections, and all this is immigration issues in America. But it pales in comparison to the history of what the Filipinos have had to tolerate in terms of, colonialization and so forth. But not just that. Geographically, the Philippines is located in the Pacific Ring of Fire, okay? So the natural disasters here are like way more typhoons, earthquakes, floods, etc. than some places in the West, especially America. I mean, they survived countless
Daddy,
natural disasters.
I got the Wyatt and the hippopotamus.
Oh, good job, son. Hippopotamus. So yeah, man, they've survived a lot of natural disasters. Okay, typhoons, floods, etc. And that's made them tough.
I got my potted even these.
Son, I'm trying to film. Good job with the animals. Appreciate it. So they've been resilient and they've survived this stuff, man. What's funny about, if you guys have any opinions on this, let me know. But like the lightning here in the Philippines is way louder and more earth-shattering than it is back in the U.S. I don't know why that is. I've been always meaning to look that up and I keep forgetting. But anyway, my point is, as far as the Filipinos being resilient and tough, they're on a whole different level than us Americans.
Daddy,
whole different level, night and
Daddy,
day.
you got for breakfast.
No, that's yours. Okay. All right, I had to fix my son's socks, pardon me. But anyway, in terms of that history of, colonialization, surviving all these natural disasters, the Filipinos become resilient, tough, but they also appreciate the little things, man, because there's just something in, like, you know, human nature and sociology, like when people have lost everything, or they've been high and they've been low, or I don't know, maybe they were never high, maybe they've been taken from and so forth. They don't have the same priorities as far as like needs and wants and all that. Like they get it. They get the simple culture type of thing, and that's why they appreciate family more. Because they don't have like the same luxuries and riches that we do in materialism like in the West. And through all of that, the culture has like kind of evolved to stay together, you know? And there's people that have cynical views on that. Like I know other Americans, other Westerners will say stuff like, oh, the Filipinos stay together because like they need the money. If they had money, they would be more individualistic like Americans and so forth. But I don't think that's true. Like I don't buy that narrative because, I mean, there's a lot of, middle upper class Filipinos and other Asians in places like Daly City in California or other Filipino communities in the States that you still see families staying together. They don't just separate because they're well off or something like that. Like I know my first Filipino girlfriend's family, you know, many years ago, she had a good career, her brother had a good career, but they still all actually lived together under the same roof, okay? Because I think they recognized at some point after being in the States that, you know, it's pretty much all they have is their family in the end. Once everything's said and done, you know. But that kind of concept, they call it like kappa, I think, quote. I could be saying that wrong, but kappa is like a shared social identity. And in 2021, the Asian Journal of Social Science was discussing that, like this concept of kappa, K-A-W-P-A, shared identity. It's kind of interesting. So they got that going on for them, you know. And I don't think we've experienced that kind of stuff in America. We haven't had that kind of history. Like we don't know any better. I mean, we're not very well traveled anyway because in our system of the matrix, you know, we're taught about how great the U.S. is, the greatest country on earth, on and on and on and on. You know, a lot of that's propaganda. I mean, there's great aspects to the U.S., right? It's a great place to work, no doubt. I mean, but the American dream, I mean, let's face it, it's always material. It's always money based, okay? It's never about like being at peace, being content to be with your family, to spend time with your family, to enjoy the simple things. It's always competition. It's always individualistic. And, you know, the nature of like hardcore competition is there's a winner and there's a loser. But we praise that in our culture, that concept of like domination. You know, I mean, I'm not like against capitalism or competing or anything like that, but I'm saying like when you take it to an extreme, you can develop this kind of, you know, really self-indulgent competitive mindset to the point to where it blinds you of all, I don't know, humanity, you know, like, you know, a commenter left an interesting comment on the channel once. He said over the decades, you know, the West, or maybe centuries, the West has become less humane. He was saying that the West is becoming like less human because of their value system, the way they live, you know. It's kind of interesting. But, you know, even like the Journal of Positive Psychology 2020, it shows that like wealthier nations report lower life satisfaction compared to developing countries with a, you know, a lower GDP and all that. So it's pretty fascinating. It really is. You know, I think that idea of being consumed with materialism, it's not an overrated concept, and it's not just a concept. I think it's very real. I mean, Americans, the medium American spending $9,000 plus a year just for travel expenses, i.e. their car, maintenance, gasoline, insurance, taxes, just for a vehicle, okay? A transportation device that essentially gets them from point A to point B, All right. Now you got Americans on average incomes buying sports cars, 35,000 road fatalities every year in America, putting people in debt. I mean, it's insanity. I mean, the middle class is in this matrix of material and consumer insanity in our country. How can they possibly be happy? I mean, they have to work so much to maintain this status quo lifestyle. I mean, that's why they're always talking about the family units being broken and 1 in 4, 1 in 5 people on psychiatric medications. You can't even find statistics for Filipinos on psychiatric meds because it's almost non-existent. Yes, son.
Excuse me, I need some water.
Okay, good job. Good job, son. I love you. He said, excuse me, I need some water. He's very polite. Yeah, I was trying to find statistics of like Southeast Asia as far as like, you know, people that see psychiatrists or need those medications. And it's hard to find data because it's almost non-existent, you know.
Excuse me.
I'm sure it does. Is Daddy thinking too much?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm talking too much.
Am I talking too much? He tells me sometimes, he goes, Daddy, stop thinking so much. Very smart kid. He's wise beyond his years, I'm telling you. He has very simple, practical advice. Like the mental health stuff they talk about in the US, like the abnormal being the new normal, when you have 66 million people essentially on meds, drugs to basically cope with life in the US, I mean, it's a problem. I mean, the American dream, what is that? What is it really when you break it down? When people are talking about the American dream, it's usually some kind of like material status. It's always material, you know. And you get like these average people like driving sports cars, owning too many cars. It's just like, oh my God. Like they're living like wannabe kings and queens, and the irony is they're fighting among each other. Americans and Europeans don't know how to take care of each other. That's part of the problem. Like the Filipinos, these kind of nations, they get it. They've been through the burner. They've been through like, you know, the BS of whatever you want to call it, inequalities, other nations taking a piece of them. It's not just Americans. I mean, Europeans have taken advantage of the Philippines, the Chinese, pretty much everybody. I think the Filipinos got to a point to where they just don't care anymore about like social status and living some like highfalutin lifestyle. I think they just don't care anymore, maybe, most of them, you know? And that's why you'll go to the slums in Manila and you'll still see like, you know, kids and families smiling that are in genuine poverty, you know, like they're living in these like sub-modern living conditions and, you know, dilapidated building bamboo huts, torn down houses, in tattered clothes, playing with, you know, used clothes, playing with used toys, and like you'll see smiles. You don't see smiles walking down the streets of Los Angeles and Chicago. You don't, I promise you. And you certainly don't go up to people and talk to them because it's like, it's weird. Man, there is such a twisted concept of success in America, man. I don't know what's going on. I mean, the dollar is still powerful. These people can't save, we can't seem to save money, you know, and get ahead. Because it's material. Like, the level of bouginess is so ridiculous. And like, I think just most Americans, they haven't been outside as much because they don't travel, because they're taught not to leave, basically, which is kind of funny too. But anyway, yeah, back to why the Filipinos are more content is I don't think they care about or value these things as much as we do in the West. All right, I really don't. And there's a lot of reasons for that. So, and there's a wisdom. There's a wisdom there, okay? And that's another thing we miss in the West, okay? Like in America, because we think we're so advanced in all these developed countries and these first world countries, you know, with our medicine and our science and our technology. And that's the irony of like the ignorance. The ignorance of it is because we're so messed up mentally. We don't even know how to take care of our own family, our own people. In America, you leave your own siblings on the street and put your parents in a nursing home if you can afford it, because you've been successful financially, and that's an acceptable thing to do. If you did something like that in the Philippines or other Asian countries, like didn't help a brother or sister or just threw your parents away because you didn't want to deal with them, it's a disgrace. It's a disgrace to their culture. Okay, it's not always about like, it's unbelievable, you know? We put everything on the back burner to get ahead socially, material, but it's always material. That's the problem, you know? So, one of the problems, I guess. Son, am I talking too much?
Yeah.
All right. But, I'm having a good time. Sorry for yelling. I'm starting to sweat, actually. It's quite hot in here, believe it or not. Zachary, it's hot, son. Did you turn the AC on?
What did I see?
The air conditioner? Speaking of material things, get the air conditioning on. You know what? If you live in Southeast Asia, you have to have air conditioning. No matter what, no matter how tough you are, you won't make it without AC.
You have to turn it on, Daddy.
Yeah, it's alright. I'll sweat, son. I can make it through it. Get to the chopper! Anyway, he likes it when I say that. So, we got a lot of differences. There's a lot of wisdom to be learned from the Filipinos that will benefit Americans. This is why they've become more content and have peace and are more happy, right? They've been through more tragedies. They recognize what's valuable, what's really valuable. And I'm not trying to beat a broken record here or sound cliche, but the depth of material value in the West in lifestyle, it's a tragedy. Okay, because like I said, Americans are having trouble taking care of themselves. See, like the Filipinos, these type of nations, they get it. They can survive. Okay, I'm not sure America can survive the same way. I mean, you look at all the stuff we have, all the money we have. I mean, you just show up in LA or Chicago after being here for a while, man, you'll feel it right away. You see the seriousness in the eyes and the heaviness and the brutalness that comes from that hardcore, individualistic, disillusioned, you know, competitive mindset. You know, even in the ancient scriptures and different religions and so forth, they talk about work. Like, work's important. Like, a man needs to work, and in the way we interpret, you know, provide in the West is usually money, but, you know, whatever happened to provide in love, right? But seriously, work is a relative concept. How much we work, the value of work, what we do with money, why we work, right? We work to contribute to society and to help our families usually, or vice versa. But, you know, despite the poverty, I think they get it in the Philippines because, like, they spend more time in the unit, collectively, in-laws, cousins, uncles, aunts. They're usually together in the same community. And there's a beauty there, okay? I question America's ability to survive. I think, like, you know, America is a danger to themselves, essentially, as far as this kind of stuff's concerned. So I think we got a lot to learn from the Filipinos. So why are the Filipinos more content? Why do you guys think? Let me know. Please share your comments on this. We had a short recently discussing this. People seem to be interested in it, so we're talking about it. And I appreciate you guys, all right? It's good to be back here, by the way, back home. I'm in my, you know, I built this little unit, this house, if you will. I call it a house. It's more like it's more like an apartment, but I built it for $4,000 US. Zachary, do you like the house we built?
Yeah.
I do too. Are you just saying yeah? You're not listening. All right, he's watching cartoons. But anyway, yeah, man, that concept of being content, it's something that we gotta maybe learn to aspire to, or learn something from the Filipinos, okay? Because we can make it. You know, like in places like these developed countries, we have all the opportunities. We have the opportunity. The question is will we do the right thing? Will we learn from the wisdom of these ancient cultures? I hope so. So anyway, God bless America. God bless the Philippines. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know your thoughts. Please comment. You guys take care. Be good. Bye-bye. Oh, by the way, we talk about controversial stuff on this channel, so if I offend people sometimes, it's not my intention. It's just we try to throw things out there for conversational purposes, so sometimes we like to speak in the elephant in the room type of stuff on this channel, and that's just our nature. So we'll talk to you all soon. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye. Don't get it. They don't know how to take care of their own people.
Daddy?
When you miss the basics, you can't be a happy culture. Yes, son.
Daddy?
Yes, son.
You stop fainting now.
Am I thinking too
So,
much?
okay.
Thank you, son.
Yeah.
I love you, son.
What did you do?
You're the best.